Patan, city of 1,000 golden roofs. The former royal city is situated in the 30-kilometre-long Kathmandu Valley, Nepal's national treasure. The city lies to the south of Kathmandu, and its official name is Lalitpur, the beautiful city. It's full of history, but it has also been partly modernised. Around 160,000 people live in what is almost tantamount to an open-air museum that transfers all who come here to another world. Patan is dominated by more than 150 former monasteries that have been transformed into family homes. The spacious squares that come into view from many of the tangled lanes are typical of the city. Patan was designed in concentric circles around the royal palace. Each day, a festival is celebrated somewhere in the city. This is apparent by the prayer shrines that contain additional adornments and tiny flags that appear between the buildings. Stupas were originally mounds. In Buddhism, they represent the entry of Buddha into nirvana, the extinguishing. Tika is the name of the divine sign in the center of the forehead. The famous Indian red color is for both humans and deities an adornment and religious symbol. A large variety of gods remind the faithful to strive for their eventual goal, enlightenment. But first, the three main sins of greed, hate and delusion must be overcome. Signposts guide visitors through the city. Thus, it's quite easy to arrive at the city's architectural highlights without becoming lost in a confusion of narrow lanes and passages. Old building materials must be constantly renewed. Wind and rain can loosen the roof tiles, and they can pose a hazard to those on the ground. In the new area of the city, there are numerous parks. These green oases are used for relaxation and as playgrounds for both young and old alike. In Patan, life is calm. This city has so far remained free from the modern hustle and bustle of today's industrialized world, and so there's usually time to catch up on a little gossip. A morning fire within the residential district is not unusual. It may be accompanied by a ritual prayer, or for the simple preparation of tea. Much of life here goes on as in bygone times. Pounded, beaten and wrung, the laundry is washed in the traditional way. No time is wasted on washing powder or the special treatment of delicate textiles. KUMBHESVARA is the oldest temple in Patan. The somewhat disjointed temple district is dominated by this slender 5-roofed pagoda. temples are always flanked by mighty stone images. They serve as the symbolic guardians of the deities that are contained within the sacred sanctuaries. There are 136 bahals or monasteries and 55 large temples indicate that Patan was the birthplace of both art and architecture in Kathmandu Valley. The Newa are considered to be the primeval inhabitants of Kathmandu Valley. Thanks to them, the art of wood carving is still carried out today with supreme skill. Legend has it that the main image of worship, Shiva Linga, within the KUMBHESHVARA Temple was the point around which the city was built. The upper floors of the temple are more narrow and slender than is customary. They look like a delicate adornment of the roof, rather than the more usual tapering tower structure. Sacrifices are reverently offered to the deity. In the darkness of the room, there is a statue that is richly adorned with floral chains. Up to the middle of the 15th century, Patan was the capital of Nepal. It is thought that the Indian Emperor Ashoka founded it in the 3rd century. The devout Buddhist founded the city during a long and troublesome pilgrimage. He was one of the great patrons of Buddhism. Each sanctuary contains the aroma of fumigants. The lighting and burning of the sticks and small oil lamps is a fascinating ritual not to be missed. In the 7th century, hordes of Chinese pilgrims came to Patan. At that time, it had more than 24,000 buildings, each with several floors, plastered streets and drinking water devices. The ruling Malla dynasty had many buildings constructed. From the 16th to the 18th century, this city in Kathmandu Valley was greatly expanded. At each street junction, in every backyard and at every door, there are the gods. The quantity of small temples and shrines is quite amazing. The Temple district is also popular with romantic couples. When those are unable to obtain the agreement of their parents for marriage, they spend the night here, and thus the marriage is official. This artificial pond basin is believed to be full of the water of Gosain Kund Lake, that is located high up in the Himalayas. During full moon in the months of July and August, it is thought that a bath here is particularly good for the soul, a perfect reward for an arduous pilgrimage. MAHA BAUDHA, a temple of Shikara design, differs from conventional Chinese architecture. It is believed that in around 1600 AD, it was donated by a man whose profession was coinage. In 1934, the temple was badly damaged by an earthquake. However, it was completely rebuilt and fully restored thanks to the generosity of the local people. Within the 16-metre-high building, narrow steps lead to a terrace. The climb is only suitable for those of a slender disposition. The unusual temple of 1,000 Buddhas is decorated with 9,000 red bricks. Each one depicts the image of a transcendent Buddha. The market contains fresh fruit and vegetables from the surrounding area. But be careful. Nepalese cuisine is highly spiced. Among numerous visitors from around the world, the local people go about their daily work. Bahal is dedicated to Buddha. The entire complex is a masterpiece, and an active monastic community still continues its traditional ceremonies here. The inner courtyard demonstrates why the monastery is also known as the Golden Temple. The 3 gilded copper roofs of the main shrine are impressive indeed. Within the courtyard there are several brass images. The delicate and elaborate sculptures are the result of a labour of love by the skillful artisans who created them. The gods look on mysteriously, while much of the detail unites to create a magical whole. The design of the sanctuaries is based upon the ancient principle of mandala construction. When the temple was built 1,000 years ago, rats were discovered that in time-honoured tradition chased away the cats. And even today, the rodents that are worshipped as sacred domestic animals take part in the rituals. The threatening grimaces of the figures are quite frightening. Religion and mystique still play an important role in the lives of the inhabitants of Patan. The fame of the city's metalworking craftsmen has survived the centuries. Many of the country's statues, even in the distant monasteries of Tibet, originate from here. Golden figures of Shiva, the destroyer and creator, Buddha the enlightened and Vishnu the keeper of life, shine out in the clear air. In the lower part of the temple district, leather is forbidden. Visitors are not allowed to enter the sanctuary wearing shoes. Belts also must be removed. The wooden constructions are abundantly decorated. Whether rafter or supporting pillar, each tiny piece of wood contains numerous carvings. Flags such as this are commonplace. The patanka is a long metal flag, mostly gilded, along which the deity walks from the top of the temple. Nepalese art is indelibly associated with religion. Thus, the local people don't regard it as art in the Western sense. Patan is now a World Heritage Site. Until 1952, the Forbidden Valley and its cities were closed to those from the West. The mantra Om Mani Padme Hum is contained within most Nepalese prayer mills. The faithful turn them while murmuring the text. The ceremonies of worship are different to the festivals. A demonstration of respect is the most vital ingredient. Faithful prayer for protection, health and happiness. Flowers, cinnabar powder and various foods are sacrificed here. The gifts must be fresh and unblemished. The large variety of rituals does not signify a combination of religions. It signifies that many gods exist and that there are many paths to religious salvation. Those without shop premises can simply set up their sewing machine in one of the squares and continue as normal. Construction of Durbar Square began in the 17th century. The Malla king Siddhi Simha was responsible for the creation of today's old town. In the 18th century, the Hindu Shah dynasty conquered the city. Under the rule of the Ranas, Buddhism was forbidden. However, King Tribhuvan drove off the Ranas in 1951. The Bhimasena Mandir temple is dedicated to the god of the traders, a sophisticated deity. In front of the temple there is a pit that is used for various fire ceremonies. Thanks to its splendid carvings, the Vishveshvara Temple is well treasured among the other pagoda temples of the square. In 1990, it collapsed during a monsoon, but it has since been completely restored along with its countless ornate wooden carvings. The Bala Gopala Temple is considered to be one of the most beautiful examples of Malla architecture. It is thought to be a replica of a sanctuary in the Indian Mathura. Here, the god Krishna spent his youth as a herdsman. Thus, the name of the temple contains the words Bala and Gopala that mean child and herdsman. In August and September, the birth of Krishna is celebrated in Patan. A huge number of the devoted and even the king himself take part in the splendid ceremonies. In the Hari Shankar temple, Harihara is worshipped, both Vishnu and Shiva in a single image. Queen Yogamati had this temple built in commemoration of her father. These typical stones are all around. In Patan, everything is associated with religion. The gods are everywhere. On the opposite side there is a huge bell that is dedicated to the goddess Taleju. Its sound is designed to terrify the enemies of the king. Manikesha Chowk. Prior to the time when the Malla ruled over Patan, a Lichavi palace once stood here. Today, it contains an archaeological museum. The middle axis of the three-storey facade is decorated with numerous ornate windows that date back to 1660 AD. The importance of the palace dates back long before the Malla epoch. Due to the existence of a stupa here, it is believed to date back to the early days of Buddhism. The Malla monarchs tolerated Buddhism, but mainly worshipped Hindu gods. Their tolerant attitude resulted in a variety of deities. The octagonal Chiasilin Deval temple opposite the palace is dedicated to Krishna. This elegant building was donated by Queen Yogamati. Patan is the second largest and oldest city in Kathmandu Valley. It is the heart of the country's traditional arts and crafts and a truly atmospheric gem of evocative architecture.